Following the assault where Phi had been lost to the tribe, the United Foundations realised their defences were inadequate. Plans were made to build a large trap field where assailants could be lured to their demise. They would be ignoring their ideology if they failed to imbue themselves with strength. Strength was just one of the secondary characteristics that the Order of Harmony demanded, as the core values of justice, order and harmony cannot be maintained on their own. Before they had migrated south, all of the warriors and braves had been wiped out, leaving those who were sickly and wimpy. The survivors would have to rely on their interest and ability in construction to stay strong. Some would have preferred to spend their time and resources on more immediately harmonious things, such as replacing their huts with towering stone, sculpting the great sentinel of the Pathfinder, or utilising the exciting design for a pool table that had not yet been implemented. But what was all the harmony for if someone else can just tear it down? The nature of their violent world dictated that their path too would require the wielding of martial might, though for now firmly in the form of defence. It's just a shame that mustering a force of any description is such a costly task, requiring considerable investment. Whilst Phi was alive, she had taken care of the herd seamlessly. Squowen lumbered about the paddock as her belly gurgled again, wishing she never had to take up the mantle of handling the animals. The smell of dried and fresh manure in the unkempt paddock seemed to excite the parasites that squirmed in her belly. Squowen shrugged off most of the pain and diarrhea, but it did slow her down. After another of the seemingly unending therapeutic sessions with Vix, where the Hussar would bring medicinal syrups and perform abdominal massages, Squowen had a particular bad case of the squits, but then it all seemed to go away. Sadly, her good health did not last long before she contracted the flu and needed further bed rest. With all that had happened, it was easy to forget just how much personal hardships Shorty had gone through. But it was never long before the boy reminded the others in the tribe. Today, Shorty had convinced himself that he didn't deserve Phi's old room and that she should have it back. To his surprise, the boy had noticed that Phi's old bed was lumpier and less sturdy than the one in his old hut. He thought he was always given the worst of everything, and recognising he had been shown some kindness previously made him uneasy. As Shorty explained his feelings to his mentor, it was with great alarm that Shinichi discovered the withering corpse of Phi laying on her old table. The old dirtmole tried to rebury the dead Yatakin before the others noticed. The muffalos and turkeys had likely not expected to see their old master again. The last of the summer's harvest had been used up days ago, so there was some objection when the tribe collectively decided to accept 3 refugees into their midst. Shepard and his 2 friends explained that they were seeking shelter following a moral disagreement with their own group. Recognising their plight, Shinichi, the harmonic elder of the tribe, welcomed them with open arms. The newcomers followed the belief of the Yataki Creed, a belief system that exalted love and diversity of thought. It was fortunate that they arrived in the evening, and doing so missed Shorty unearthing the tribe's own Yatakin brethren. Shinichi appreciated that they were willing to listen to some of the teachings of the Order of Harmony. Although perpetrating an open mind was not the only thing that the travellers contributed. Despite her abrasiveness, Cupcake was happy to help on the tribe's defences with Squowen, and sometimes even Shorty. Mew had an aptitude for medicine and research, so Vix got a chance to expand her knowledge and practice, whilst McKay had time freed up to lend her own skills to developing the trap field, and in the evening still review the new ideas and blueprints Mew had been working on. So it was that the refugees were offered 3 bedrolls in the shell of the unfinished temple. The increase in visitors, and now even guests, had attracted unwanted attention to the Hamlet tribe. On this occasion, the attention came from a band of assailants from Ubium, a more advanced civilization that was outwardly hostile and aggressive. It was to great shock when the tribe found themselves fighting in their own warehouse after some of the attackers decided to bypass their constructed field of death. The tribe's bows struggled to stand up to the semi-automatic weaponry, and the group watched in agony as a brutish man crashed through their walls and successfully fired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 consecutive shots into Squowen's rotund form, killing her. Hyde the monkey went berserk and was himself felled as he launched himself at the man with the gun. The group scattered to find cover, Shorty appearing to dodge a hail of gunfire. A scrappy fight ensued as the band of attackers filed into the breach. For a time, the tribe could only listen to the destruction of their property as they hid in adjoining rooms, taking potshots where they could. That was until Shinichi ran around the outside of the warehouse and, wielding the mighty shock lance, tore through the mind of one of the assaulters with the psychic weaponry. This act of strength emboldened the defenders and they pushed the attackers back. One of the attackers had attempted to cross the field of traps and had almost died for it, was it not for the care on the battlefield that Vix provided after 13-year-old Tomoko collapsed. Before nightfall, after the tribe had repaired the walls, hauled the bodies into the forest and incarcerated the prisoners, Shinichi gathered everyone in the paddock to lay Squowen and Hyde to rest, except Cupcake, who had wandered off in a daze after the violence. She was not the only person to break down following the attack, as Vix, in anger and despair at the loss of another friend, let out her frustration on a fine piece of weaponry that was dropped by Tomoko, destroying it. Shinichi thanked the refugees for bearing arms during the assault. Because of their grit and bravery, not a single assailant had left Redpine Valley that day. This was just another in a series of hard lessons where the tribe had learned not to be complacent and tackle their challenges with wisdom and strength. For without wisdom, strength, resilience and perseverance, they could never hope to maintain justice, order or harmony. All those but the newcomers had heard it all before from Shinichi. After Squowen's harmonic passage ceremony, Mew found that Tomoko's wounds had cultivated multiple dangerous infections. But before she could finish treating the girl, her own frustrations took a hold of her, and she fled from her duties, instead plundering the tribe's diminishing stockpiles of food. With determination not to let another soul pass under her care, Vix tended to Tomoko's wounds herself, and, over the next few days, with Mew's returning support, the imprisoned girl narrowly escaped death's clutches. Following the assault, where Squowen had been lost to the tribe, the United Foundations realised their defences were inadequate. I didn't have to let Squowen die. The mercenary was lethal, but I didn't have to leave her at point blank range with no cover whilst making Shinichi and Mackay only watch. Still, we live and learn. Also, I carry on forgetting to mention how many days the tribe's actually survived up to this point. So far it's day 44. So not even been a year, and already 2 of the original 5 tribe have already died. It's pretty woeful. And yeah, I don't actually think I've ever mentioned this is footage from the game Rimworld, and also music from the game Rimworld.